Is it okay? The first question I want people here to reflect upon is the question of whether an accused can investigate his own or her own crimes that have been committed. So when we speak of domestic investigation, we are simply handing over the entire issue to the state to cover up whatever they have done. Secondly, when we look at the contemporary world, how many countries have had the privilege of conducting their own domestic investigation after conducting successfully the worst genocide of this present century? I call this as a genocide because 146,679 people are unaccounted so far. The government doesn't utter a single word about these 146,679 people who are unaccounted for. So that apart, there are very many other issues which we need to take up. The first such issue when this domestic investigation, if at all it takes place, is we need to look at the history of promises, history of unkept promises by the government of Sri Lanka, starting from the year 1956 on 58 onwards, when the BC Pact was signed. That's Bandaranaike Chelvanayagam Pact was signed, followed by the BC Pact of 1965, till the present day, wherein the government has been promising so many things, but then they have failed to deliver on any of the promises that have been made. So it's only been plain promises, but nothing has been delivered so far to the Tamils. That apart, another very important issue that crops up is if a domestic investigation starts, will there be adequate witness protection provided by the state? Because here when we speak of witness protection, people who are accused include the President of Sri Lanka himself. The President himself stands accused because he was the acting defense minister. Then another very senior member of the cabinet is General Sarath Fonseca, who successfully conducted this genocidal war against the Tamils. Will they have the moral courtesy as well as moral courage to resign before a domestic investigation process begins as demanded by the present president, is the question they need to answer. That apart, even to this day, the fourth floor torture chamber continues to exist, and 99% of those who are taken to these torture chambers are the Tamils from the north and the east. Then Sri Lanka is yet to disband the Prevention of Terrorism Act, PTA still continues to exist. Then the very large question of return of land to the Tamils persists. Totally 67,000 acres of land belonging to the civilians has been taken over by the state over the past 30 years. But how many acres has been returned as promised is the question that is still unclear. The process of Sinhalization has been continuing even to this day. As we speak here, the process of Sinhalization continues there on the field. The IDP camps, internally displaced persons camps, also continue to exist. Then the question of whether the Tamils have confidence in the present government to conduct such kind of a domestic process is the big question mark, because there has been no confidence building measure that has been implemented by the present state. That apart, under the previous regime, many unanswered questions still persist. The injection of Jadael to curb the birth of Tamils in the north is another issue unanswered to this day by any of the previous government as well as the present government. Then the issue of the missing persons is there. Sri Lanka has recorded the highest number of disappearances over the last decade. Then today's newspaper and yesterday's newspaper come out with the issue of cluster bombs. Cluster bombs were used even in the safe zones. So under such circumstances, will the government be able to provide any, without a political solution, the government, how can they take up the issue of domestic investigation? Is another question that crops up. That apart, recently, just a couple of days back, I was meeting a couple of Sri Lankan priests who have come to Bangalore for their higher studies. They were telling me that there has been a new pattern of former militants dying. All the former militants who are dying recently are dying of cancer, and it is after rehabilitation, after the process of rehabilitation, they have undergone through the government agencies that they have been dying of cancer. So it's not an isolated incident. Many have died of cancer, and why only cancer is the question those people were raising just day before yesterday when I met them. Then the question of accountability. Will Sri Lanka be accountable to the Tamils, or will they be accountable to the international community is the question, because if we hand over the issue of domestic investigations to the Sri Lankan state, how fair it will be is the big question mark, for the simple reason that people have no confidence in them, as there is a history of cheating the Tamils. The same views, I come from India, so the same views are also shared in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu, the state assembly unanimously passed 3 resolutions, because in our world we speak of democracy. So these are people who unanimously, 80 million people, unanimously passed 3 resolutions, irrespective of the political parties which they come from. All the political parties for a change agreed upon one particular issue, that is the issue of international demand for international investigation, and they said that we can't allow domestic investigations to take place. So in this context, all that we have to look into is whether there will be a fair process to begin with, and then is Sri Lanka capable enough of handling such a pressure, because they have killed their own people. Will they be able to admit it? So in this sense, there are very many questions that crop up which we need to ponder over and answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Foreman. I would like to just mention we are conscious of time, as we have to be completed and concluded here by 12. But I think we're doing okay so far, so I'm going to hand over to Mr. Thirumurugan Gandhi, who is a human rights